Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Valérie Gavache de Radio-Canada. Vous abandonnez aujourd'hui cette mesure sur les véhicules électriques. Vous avez abandonné la taxe carbone. En même temps, vous avez des députés qui mettent sur pied un caucus vert parce qu'ils trouvent que vous ne vous préoccupez pas suffisamment de l'environnement. Comment vous allez faire pour les rallier? Et puis, est-ce que le Canada est en train d'abandonner ses ambitions climatiques?
Non, merci pour votre question. C'est la position du gouvernement du Canada que la lutte contre le changement climatique, c'est une obligation morale, mais c'est en même temps, c'est un impératif commercial, c'est un impératif de compétitivité. Et maintenant, nous mettons l'accent sur la compétitivité de nos entreprises, de nos travailleurs, en ce qui concerne la réduction des gaz à effet de serre. Par exemple, nous avons déjà, mais nous allons renforcer les crédits d'impôt afin d'avoir plus d'investissement dans l'énergie propre. Premier point. Deuxièmement, on va garder le prix industriel du carbone. Il faut améliorer le fonctionnement de ces marchés. Et comme je viens de dire, il y aura une stratégie, une politique de compétitivité du carbone et une stratégie pour la nature en même temps. Alors, on va faire beaucoup, on met l'emphase sur les résultats. Les résultats, c'est-à-dire de la compétitivité de notre économie, de nos entreprises, en ce qui concerne les réductions de gaz à effet de serre. Merci.
Question, CBC.
Prime Minister Tom Harrigan, CBC. Can I ask you, if you're reviewing the EV mandate, are you open to the idea of scrapping it altogether, like the Conservatives are demanding? And I guess how should Canadians, we just asked this in French, but how should Canadians, I guess, see your commitment to Canada's climate goals? And if I could get you to clarify just on another matter, Minister LeBlanc said yesterday you're now pursuing smaller deals on certain sectors with the United States on tariffs. Why are you pursuing that strategy?
Well, I'm going to take the second part first, and I'll come back to you first, which is Minister LeBlanc. What Minister LeBlanc said yesterday is what I said the day before, actually, so it's good to see that we're lined up. We're all lined up in the strategy. What's happening with our situation with the United States, and I'll do this quickly. We have the best deal of any country right now, 85% tariff-free, lowest tariff rate. The issue is the strategic sectors, and it's a big issue. Flavio Volpe is here. Thank you for coming. Flavio, he knows it well. Autos, steel, aluminum, forest products, copper. Those are the big issues. And those are areas that the United States has identified, we would agree, but is identified as strategic. So they have a different tariff regime for those sectors. And the only way to tackle those is to go directly to the sectors and recognize the interdependence between Canada and the United States. The fact that Canada makes the United States more competitive in these sectors and structure agreements in and around there, or look to structure agreements around those. Now, the U.S. has a very tough tariff policy around these, to be clear. So it's real work, it's hard work, but that's where we're focused. That is the, quote, smaller, they're not small, they're big, but sector-specific deals. At the same time, there will be a review of our overall trading arrangement with the United States and Mexico, CUSMA. We have begun the preparations for that. I expect the Americans and the Mexicans will do the same. That will happen, begin in the new year. But effectively, that is the bigger trading relationship, and so the focus for the larger trading relationship shifts to there. With respect to EV mandates, let's be absolutely clear. We have an auto sector, because of the massive change in U.S. trade policy, is under extreme pressure. We recognize that. That's why we put in place the major liquidity facility, and it is an enormous liquidity facility, the large enterprise tariff facility. That's why we're putting in place $5 billion in the strategic response fund. That's why we're working with worker retraining. And that's why we're also looking for Buy Canadian opportunities with that sector, okay, that and other sectors. In that context, the EV mandate this year adds to the liquidity issues they have, the financial challenges that these producers have. They've got enough on their plate right now. They've got enough on their plate right now. So we're taking that off, allowing them to focus, working with them. We're using this as an opportunity as part of a broader strategy on climate competitiveness to look at all our measures to help get greenhouse gases down, as I said a moment ago in French, greenhouse gases down in the key sectors, as well as across the economy. And we'll look at the interaction between the EV mandate, our clean fuel standards, our investment tax credits, our trade policy, all of those elements, because what this government is focused on is absolutely results. Not saying something's going to happen at a certain time, but giving workers and businesses the tools to make it happen.
Prochaine question.
Oui. J'ai déjà répondu en français, en effet, parce que c'était la question en avance, c'était presque la même. Alors, pardon. Madame.
Bonjour, Émilie Bergeron, la presse canadienne. Sur votre annonce, en annonçant autant de mesures aussi vastes, aujourd'hui, est-ce que vous dites aux entrepreneurs, ça peut être encore très long, la guerre tarifaire, armez-vous de patience? Et pourquoi avoir attendu jusqu'à aujourd'hui tout ce temps-là pour que le secteur de l'aluminium reçoive de l'aide financière?
Oui, le processus de la restriction de l'économie canadienne va durer un certain temps. Ça, c'est absolument clair parce que, comme j'ai dit, c'est une rupture. Les politiques américaines économiques ont changé profondément. Profondément. Oui, il y a des négociations. Oui, on va gagner de plus, probablement, dans les négociations. Oui, on va diversifier nos marchés, absolument. Mais ce processus va prendre du temps. Alors, il faut investir, et en ce moment, il faut investir maintenant afin d'accroître la compétitivité. Alors, c'est la raison pour laquelle d'avoir dans vos mots des initiatives vastes. Alors, en ce qui concerne le secteur d'aluminium, il y a toujours les options d'avoir accès au Large Enterprise Tariff Liquidity, la liquidité là. Et oui, maintenant, il y a d'occasion avec le fonds réponse stratégique parce que nous avons des discussions tout le temps avec le secteur d'aluminium, ministre de l'Industrie, ministre des Finances et moi-même. Alors, c'est approprié maintenant. Et le montant, comme vous l'avez dit, c'est 5 milliards de dollars. C'est approprié. Ouais.
Pourquoi pas avant?
Ouais, c'est le moment maintenant. C'est fait.
Next question. Feedback?
Good morning, Prime Minister. Good morning, Minister Joly. Prime Minister, you and your office announced yesterday a willingness to support Ukraine with military scalable assistance, military assistance to support a lasting peace in the country. But now we've heard the Russian president reject such security assurances. He says that any foreign troops in Ukraine would be a legitimate target. Does that change at all your stance that was announced yesterday?
Look, President Putin is the cause of this war. He has not yet come to terms with the need for peace. We need to maintain, through the coalition, the willing, other allies, the Ukrainian armed forces need to maintain maximum pressure. That pressure has several aspects. First, obviously the Ukrainian forces themselves and ensuring that they are appropriately armed in their valiant fight, and Canada has just reinforced that, as have other allies. Secondly, that pressure is economic. Sanctions. We have put in place sanctions on more than 3,000 individuals, tightening the oil price cap and other sanctions. The next wave of sanctions is being prepared amongst allies, and it will come, and these are having an effect on Russia's economy, and we need to keep there. The third aspect is to make clear that Ukraine will be supported when peace comes, when there is a cessation of hostility. First and foremost, that's the Ukrainian army. But yes, it will need to be backed up by robust and credible security guarantees. That's why Canada is in the coalition of the willing. And through part of that, Mr. Putin is the cause of this war. He's the reason for the killing. He is not going to dictate the terms of the peace.
Next question, Laura.
Morning, Prime Minister. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail. I wanted to ask about our story today on Tom Pitfield. I was wondering if you knew about his ties to the tobacco industry before our story, when you hired him in your office, if you have any moral qualms about his ties to the industry, given the push to stop smoking and vaping, and if he will recuse himself from any health discussions or debates in your office.
Well, the first thing is people in my office, as you know, and Canadians would expect, go through conflict of interest and ethics procedures, and appropriate screens are put in place, and they're followed. That's the case for Mr. Pitfield. That's the case for all the staff in my office. That's the first. The second, there's certain activities which are legal in this country, which I don't necessarily follow or approve of. But you know, that's people. We have tobacco industry in the country. We have people who smoke in this country. It is legal to buy cigarettes in this country. I make no judgment about that.
Thank you.
I can't hear you.
Will he be involved in any health discussions or
I
policy
look,
discussions?
I don't know.
Next question, please.
Non-issue.
Good morning, Eric VNOC, CH News. We cover Hamilton and Niagara region, which has a large number of foreign workers. Is your government planning on making changes to the temporary foreign worker program?
Look, I think the first thing I'll say is that what this government is committed to do, and we are putting in place the measures in order to do it. I'm going to give a specific example of some success here with respect to foreign workers in a moment. But our overall commitment, and let's put this in context, foreign workers are about 7% of the labor force, a little more than 7% of the labor force, and we've committed to get that number down to less than 5% by 2027. Okay? So that takes a comprehensive strategy, it's adjustment, and we're talking students, we're talking asylum seekers, temporary foreign workers, all classes, provincial nominee program workers, all these classes of workers. With respect to temporary foreign workers, they are less than 1% of the labor force. We're looking to adjust those levels and the composition of those workers, and one of the things that this government put in place was restrictions to reduce the flow of low-wage foreign workers, so those who are taking the lower-wage jobs in this country. And that flow is down 70% this year. I'll repeat that, 70% this year. So context is important, trajectory is important. We're acting, things are moving. Next question.
Thank you. We'll have time for one last question. Ira?
This is Iraq Checker, Turkish Voice of Canada. Prime Minister, your mandate pledges to attract top global talent while returning overall immigration to sustainable levels.
Yep.
Yet recent data show an uptick in skilled immigrants and even citizens leaving Canada, citing housing and wage pressures, as you know. As you pursue new alliances and define strategic sectors, how will you prevent reverse migration from hollowing out the workforce those sectors need? And what concrete retention targets or measures are you setting to keep up talent here?
Okay. The first thing is, I view your question the following, and thank you for it. It's about having the best quality of life in the world in Canada. And there are a series of things that we're doing that's going to add to Canadian quality of life. I'm going to focus on two. We're in the Peel region. I'll focus on two that are issues here. There are issues elsewhere in the country. And the first is around crime and safety in our neighborhoods. This government is committed to reforming the criminal code to ensure that organized crime, gang crime, crime with handguns, home invasions, auto theft, that the individuals who participate in those crimes pay the price they should, with consecutive sentencing, that they are not in a position where they commit a crime one day and they're arrested and then out on bail the next. So bail reform being at the heart of it. We're committed to having more officers at our border, 1,000 more border agents, more RCMP, committed to working more closely with the provinces. And I'll give you a specific example with respect to the last. We've been working with the Council of Federation, all the provinces, on bail reform. We will be legislating on that. We're proposing legislation, I should say, to the House on that next month. I met with Premier Ford this morning as part of an ongoing conversation about how we can address these issues, what the federal government needs to do on the criminal code. I agree with Premier Ford on these issues, and that's why we're moving on them. What the province and the municipality can do in terms of policing more effectively. So we're working very closely. That's one aspect of quality of life. Another aspect of quality of life is housing. In the next few weeks, we will announce the launch of Build Canada Homes as part of doubling the rate of housing starts in this country, including in this region, to help ensure people have homes, have the communities they wish, and help with that. I just want to point out that there are many factors that drive where people live, and where we are focused today, tomorrow, in the future, is on Canadians having the best quality of life possible. Yes, it starts with the economy and responding, meeting to the moment. That's what today's announcement is about. But it also goes to the fundamental of being safe in your community, owning your own home, being able to pay your rent, living a good life. Bon,
This puts an end to our press conferences.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And that is Prime Minister Mark Carney in Mississauga, closing out that news conference, talking about quality of life, including crime, saying that he met with Ontario Premier Doug Ford this morning and that they were talking about crime issues. But as you heard earlier, a major announcement, a series of measures for key sectors feeling the brunt of U.S. tariffs and trade disruption. Let's go down the list with some of those key highlights about what we heard from Mark Carney. You heard him say the government is stopping its upcoming target for electric vehicle sales. Dealers had faced a 20% EV sales mandate next year. That's now on hold. And you heard him say there's going to be a 60-day review of the overall EV sales standard. That was due to hit 100% of new sales in 10 years' time. The Prime Minister being asked if this means that this entire mandate might be cancelled. He says right now the auto sector has enough on its plate because of tariffs. That's why next year's target was put on hold. And he says the government is using this as an opportunity to look at all of our measures to get greenhouse gas emissions down. Carney asked as well about the future